the recording, this is for the benefit. This is for the benefit of your classmates who are not able to participate this afternoon. So they will just refer to the lecture video, recorded video, later once they are available. All right. So good afternoon, guys. This is Introduction to Engineering. This is our third class, no? So the third week already, first, and then the second, and then the third. Okay, so this morning, we already had like an oral recitation, and then we just continue with this formal lecture. All right. Okay, so I have here an activity persona wherein I want to assess your idea. Uh, when can we say that a person is an engineer, or uh, it really requires schooling, it really requires educational background or board examination just to become an engineer, all right? So it also aims to apply the learnings in the previous lectures. In fact, our previous lecture was supposedly about the history, but this time I just mixed it, the history as well as the fields of engineering, all right? And then want to show creativity about the output presentation and develop teamwork. But this was applicable during the face-to-face class. So may we skip this for the online class because it's no longer applicable, because there should be one presentation before this. No? So and then that presentation would be part of this, but we will skip this because this is good for the face-to-face class. Okay? Okay. Accordingly, according to Albert Einstein, scientists investigate that which already is, while engineers create that which has never been. My question now, what is the difference between scientist and engineer? Who can tell me the difference? Who can tell me the difference between scientist and engineer? Okay, Largo. Largo, can you tell us, based on your idea, what's the difference between a scientist and an engineer? Largo, you raised your hand.
Hello, sir.
Yes.
In my opinion, scientists observe the world while engineers focus on creating.
Scientists observe the world, while
While
engineers
engineers focus on
focus on
creating.
creating. So,
Creating.
if I could kanang expound your explanation, is that you considered scientists as the people or the person who are keen at observing the changes, the phenomenon in nature, and then somehow it can be applied to science and mathematics and to innovation. And then the engineers are more likely dependent on the ideas or observations that the scientists have. No, like for example, I am the scientist, so I keep on doing research, and then my results will be applied by the engineers. Is that what you mean, Largo?
Yes, sir.
Alright. That's why, mayunta nga, si engineer kay mag-design, si engineer kay mag-develop, si engineer kay mag-innovate, si engineer kay kanang monitor sa project, because it's more on the what's the difference. There's a term for the scientist and the engineer. Sige, kinsay makahatag. Si scientist kay more on this word, si engineer kay more on this word. Sige. What do usually, kung makita kag engineer, unsa usually ang naa sa isa ka engineer nga makita nimo, regardless if unsa na siya nga engineer, geodetic, civil, okay? So unsa nga aspeto ang naa sa ila? Okay. Aying.
Hello, sir. Madunglan ko, sir.
Yes.
Kwan, sir. I think scientist is the person who conducts scientific research in to advance knowledge in area of interest, such as katong imong giingon gay na, sir, na sila ang magkuan sa about sa space and etc. They conducts research. They conduct scientific research, sir, while engineering is the study of building and designing machine structures and other innovative
Yeah,
things.
thank you. Your answer is similar to that Largo has mentioned. But you are
Oh,
near to that. You are near to the term. I'm just looking for the word, and then that words will really tell us the difference between a scientist and an engineer. Who can tell me? For example, maingon ko, ang bulak is para sa decoration. So the decoration will really tell us unsa pa na sa inyong English kanang like na term na sa English nga murag siya ang mag-define ana. So ang bulak is para decoration, no? And then ang foods kay para sa kanang kanang ang foods is para sa program or para sa party. So there's an like what's the term ana sa English. So an engineer unsay iyang usually nga pag makadungog ta nga term, that's what scientists do. And then this term, that's what engineers do. Sige daw, kinsay makakuan sa ako na idea.
Good afternoon, sir. Pwede
Okay,
po matubag.
sige. Langway. Okay, Langway, Salva, and Laura.
For
Sige,
me, sir,
sige, sige.
for me, sir, I think when scientist, the word scientist is mentioned, it will pop up immediately to my mind the word innovation. While if the word engineer is being mentioned, the word that will immediately pop up to my mind is invention. That's it, sir.
Right. So a scientist can be denoted as innovation, while engineers can be denoted as uh, invention. So the answer is okay, but I'm looking for the specific terms. Okay, last one before I will tell you the correct.
Sir,
All right,
sir,
Me.
Kevin J.
ano sir, sa akong nakuan sir is, scientists is focused on discovering the layout of their curiosity about the universe. Um, ang ako ma-describe sila sir is innovation. And then ang engineering sir is are the one who matawag sila creators because they the one who create. And also sir, kanang kuan sila sir kaning based sa ilang knowledge, sa ilang skills sir. That's it sir.
Okay. I cannot entertain everyone who are raising their hands. But I'm just amazed that there's a lot. This is what I like. Students are really interactive. No, I want ang uban maulawon, but for you, you are really eager to answer my question. So, last one before I will tell and continue our lecture because it's already 5:37. Okay, can I ask uh, Nikos? Nikos, what's your idea?
Good afternoon, sir.
Yes.
Logically speaking, for me, both scientists and researchers are, I mean, both scientists and engineering are researchers, but scientists are more on conducting and investigating the product that is already there, while the engineers are the ones that make new product to make the other product more convenient and made to be use of purpose.
Okay, thank you, Nico. You are right. No, Nico is right. Nikos is right. Both the scientists and the engineers are researchers. No, they are doing researches. They are conducting researches. But to tell you, no, I don't know. This might be the correct answer, the 101% correct answer. But these are the closest. These are the closest answers to my question. Okay, okay. If you could observe, we have a lot of scientists. The other scientists are even doing things that are not normal to us. Kanamingon ta nga nasubrahan naman na siya, mura naman na siya dili koan na irmitan niyo na kay siya, no? That's for example like Albert Einstein and Faraday they are scientists. Why? The correct the specific term that I want to embed or that I want to relate to a scientist is they are what? When we say they are focusing on the theories, no? Kung theories na gani, researching more and more because research is developmental. When we reach to that far nga naanay na develop, naanay na kuan, still ongoing pa gid na ang development. based on the theories, no? So scientists are doing that for the benefit of having that particular theory, no? And these engineers, no, kaning mga engineers kita are the people or the persons who are very kanang grabe ka curious about okay, this theory. That's why ni come up with ang term good for engineers as application, no? So scientists are kung moingon tag theories, that's for the scientists. Kung moingon tag application, that's for the engineers. Why? We are applying the principles, the theories, no? The background behind anything, and then we apply that and get the particular data or get the particular, for example, mag-design kag machine. Pag mag-design ka og machine, asa man day ka mag-refer sa imong design dito ka sa mga principles behind the pulleys, behind the gears nga already established by the scientist, no? So muratag ka ng end user, but we will not stop to application. We also do research. Okay, madugog na ko.
Dungog na,
Dungog na,
sir.
sir.
Okay,
Yes,
alright. So balik
Yes,
yes,
sir.
sir.
balik ta. Okay, balik ta when we see related to scientist, no? Kung may tag application, that's what engineers do. Application.
Sir, po, sir.
Sir, topic ka,
Excuse
sir.
me, sir.
Daot nag-PLDT ron.
Excuse me, sir. Dili ka kuan, sir. Dili clear imo voice, sir.
Ato. Like kung
Sir, wala jud, sir.
kana guys, wala kana still wala.
Sir, nawala ka, sir.
Wala si sir.
Nawala
Sir.
si sir.
Balik ka taron.
Mag-take video,
sorry.
guys.
Hi all.
Nawala sa
Salamat.
Ganda to ni sir.
Okay, I lost the connection. Oh, uy.
Party nag...
Okay na? Hello?
Hello sir.
Wala po, sir.
Okay na. Alright, so natandog ang among kuan.
Ang unsay natandog.
Hi guys. Sige hapon.
Okay na, sir.
Naana, sir.
Ano, sir?
Okay, sige na. Alright,
Okay
thank
na,
you.
sir.
Sorry for the inconvenience. Alright, so mauna to siya. So that's the two terms nga atong interrelate sa duha ka terms, no? So for the scientists and for the engineers. All right, let's continue. Okay. All right, so that's the correct terms, or that's the closest terms nga atong pwede ma-relate sa kadtong terms, no? Now, we will now define engineering. Am I still clear? Madungog yapon ko?
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Yes, sir.
We will
Yes, sir.
now
Very
achieve
clear.
these objectives. Define engineering and explored with a broad background in different fields of engineering, as well as discuss the history of engineering, explain the purpose of taking engineering course. All right. So first, these are the fields of engineering, and I hope I did not put everything here. No, so just several. That's why I give you a task to review or to read different fields. But maybe during the examination, I will tap some fields of the engineering profession, no? So not just the things that I have mentioned in this presentation. So first, we have geodetic engineering, all right? So the geodetic engineering is a field of engineering which deals with the collection and measurement of spatial data above, on or below the surface of the Earth using appropriate technologies and the scientific and methodological processing and management of this data for the production of spatial information systems, maps, plans, charts, and other documents. So kung natay makadungog tag geodetic engineer, unsa inyong maunahunaan? Unsa inyong dayon mabutang sa inyong mind? When you hear
Surveyor, sir.
surveyor,
Yuta, sir.
Non-surveyor, sir.
kung naatay ka na naatay dula nga kung naatay dula nga kana bitawng Family Feud, are you familiar with the game Family Feud, based on the closest term to that particular situation or this particular field? So surveyor, maybe somehow the top word related to geodetic engineers. Others, unsa pa?
Yuta, sir.
Land, land, when we say geodetic engineer, yuta na din ang atong pananaw sa iya or ang atong
Land
consideration.
surveyor po, sir.
So yeah,
Land
surveyor already mentioned. Sige, Pacquiao, what terms nga imong ma-relate sa isa ka geodetic engineer? Surveyor, other than surveyor, daghan. Sige.
Kuan sir, kanang study sa kanang mga rocks, yuta.
Yes. Do you think geodetic
And
engineers
sir, kanang mo
studying rocks? Okay, Langway. Langway, what do you
kanang
think?
Maps, sir.
Maps, no? Geodetic engineers are the engineers that are usually and normally, okay, they are the professionals or the engineers that are generating maps, no? After the survey, they will lay out, and then they will project using the software or the traditional nila nga pamaagi to generate maps, no? So makadungog kag term map projection, mapping, surveying, that's geodetic engineers. Other than that, naapa, isa pa maka-idea, aying,
Sir, ask ko lang, sir, kanang meteorological, sir, part na siya sa geodetic, sir?
meteorological is weather and climate or weather forecasting. It's part of the ABE and not the geodetic engineering career, or not of the it's beyond the geodetic engineering work.
Sir, thank you, sir.
It's ABE, okay? It's ABE, or meteorologist or agricultural or environmentalist, mas mosulod kaysa sa ABE. Okay,
Thank you, sir.
kabunag. Unsa pa mahimong madugang kabunag about geodetic?
They are more on measurement of the land and even the river, sir, or something.
Okay, so it still belongs to the term survey, no? So, mao ra ninyo manahunaan. But you do not know that geodetic engineers also do, no? Geodetic engineers, not aside from the things nga mentioned diha sa definition. Okay, geodetic engineers also do works nga related po sa kanang mga environmental nga planning, no? Have you heard geodetic engineer nga kanang engaged sa kanang isa ka housing developer, no? And then engineers, geodetic engineers, they are specializing on, for example, nag-take siya exam for state broker. So advantage na sa iya kay kabalo siya mo survey, kabalo siya mo generate og map, kabalo pagid siya mo negotiate og client kay para kana nga mga housing or land nga development mas makasulod ka, makakwarta ka, may ngana ako'y bahala. So usually, and aside from that, they are doing researches. So geodetic engineers doing researches in terms of mapping, generating maps related to flood, no, forecasting, as well as maps that will somehow will see the land use cover or the land changes in how many years, no? For example, sa inyong lugar sa Surigao del Sur, unsa man ang mapa in the year 2000 versus 2010 versus 2020. Okay? So that's what usually geodetic engineers do. Okay? So aside from the kana nga mga terms diha nga gipang mention, that's somehow other things that geodetic engineers do. Mining engineering, okay, according to the definition, is the field of engineering which deals with the application of mathematics, applied and natural sciences, humanities, and social sciences in mineral deposit assessment, mine feasibility, mine design, development, and construction. They also do progressive rehabilitation and consultation in terms of decommissioning to harness mineral resources safety and economically for the social and economic benefits. When we say mining engineers, aside from the things that I've mentioned in the definition, what other things or what other works that mining engineers do? Okay, kung sa makahatag, mayroon kang mining engineer, kung sa usually ginabuhat ni mining engineer, aying.
Hello, sir.
Kung sa usually ginabuhat ni mining engineer.
Hello, sir. Mag-conduct og kuan, sir. Mag-conduct sa mga kuan sa mineral deposit sa kuan sa isa ka area.
Siya ang magkalot?
Dili, sir. Sila ang mag-plan about sa kuan sa process kung sa buhaton sa area.
Asa ka ang suitable site, asa ang suitable area.
Yes, sir.
Kathleen, idea ni mo sa man.
Ano sir, plan mining operations, sir.
They will plan mining operations, no? Asa ta mo sulod, asa ta mo gawas, no? Asa diri nga area kaha, asa ta mag-blast, no? Asa ta magpabuto diri nga para nang ginatawag na tong mine blasting nila. Asa ta diri mo sulod, asa ang loose nga area diri. That's why they are very related to geology, no? So they are studying geology, they're studying rocks, they're studying minerals, and all others related to geology. So the very allied field of mining is geology, no? So they are doing that. Electronics engineers, what do electronics engineers do as compared to electrical engineers? The definition says deals with the development and application of devices and systems involving the flow of electrons and then carriers of electric field or charge. They are doing that in devices, electromagnetic and other energy forms. Ilaha daw na mo na lang mga trabaho. Kung makanungog kag electronics engineer, unsa may imo dayong mahunahunaan? Sige daw. Pacquiao.
Kuan sir, kanang mga mag-repair gani og mga appliances kay kana part man sa trabaho sa
makita nimo sa palengke mo na ang mga electronics engineers kanang sa kilid kanang mag-repair. That's what you think, Pacquiao?
Na og man pod sir kanang sa mga production gani sa mga piyesa like sama sa Mitsumi sa Cebu like ana
Philips, no, kanang mga electronics or mga power related nga mga devices kanang mag-produce og mga starter, mag-produce og mga sa tawagan ni cellphone, no? Pero katong mag-repair, ato lang iklaro ha nga not all electronics engineers are doing repair. It's the electrician ha, not electrician, technician, no? So electronic technician, dili electronic engineer sa kay basig ingon ka nga nakakita ka sa palengke nag-repair og cellphone, oy, electronics engineer di ka cool. Okay, nag-repair man ka. So I just want to clarify. There are some doing repairs and maintenance of electronic devices, but not all electronic engineers are doing repairs. Lahi ang electronics engineer sa electronics technician, which we will discuss later. Okay? How electronics engineers is related, or what's the similarity of electronics engineers and electrical engineering? Sige daw. Unsay ka kapareho sa unsay ka nganong moingon man sila nga electrical man siguro na siya, electronics. Basta kay naara gid diha. Kay manguan man siya kuryente, kana siya pud mang-repair man pud siya unya i-connect sa kuryente. Okay, magtulis.
Hi, sir. Good evening. Uh, sa akong nabasa, sir, I mean, sa akong pagsabot, ang electronics engineering, sila ang maghimo or sa mga, ano lang, sir, ba, sa mga smaller, mga smaller devices. While the electrical engineering, sila yung nag-engage na sa mga large-scale production and distribution of electrical power. So, mas dako ang kanang paras man sila dako og sorry.
Sa nga dako. Clarify sa nga dako. Dagay dako.
sorry, kulbahan ko.
Kulbaan ka. So kung gagmay ang ilang i-produce electronics, kung dagko electrical. Gagmay nga cellphone electronics, kung dagko nga cellphone electrical.
Sa electrical, sir, kanang mga sa panagod, sir, kanang mga dagko nga mga machine or sa mga kuryente na gani, sir, sa mga siguro sa mga solar mga nana, sir.
Si Mona Riham. Sige daw, si Mona Riham daw i-interrupt daw kaniya Phil Rose kina gid siya idea. Sige daw.
Sige, sir.
Electrical engineering, sir, is concerned with the large-scale production and distribution of electrical power, while the electronic engineering focuses on smaller electronic circuits.
So electronics pod, electrical pod. It's either large or the small, basta kay pang electrical pod. No? So we cannot say nga it's not right nga mingon ta nga nganong nang repair man kag cellphone call nga wa man kay idea electrical man ka. So anya dagko man na call dapat gagmay ra imo ka electronics, so it's not right, no? It's bound it's still part of their function. So for example, makakita ka og production sa cellphone or factory sa cellphone, di pod ka pwede mo ingon nga parang naman ka diri nga di man ka electrical man ka, because unsa gani ang study sa electrical charges, electricity, no? Flux. So tanan basic lang na akong ipang-mention ha. So naa diha ang mga hydrodynamics, mga hydrostatics, naa diha tanaan in which electronics also do, no? Ang nakagahilang gid sa ila, guys, electronics are more on electronics, no? Mayingon kag electronics unsa man from the term electricity plus mechanics, no? So electricity plus mechanics, electronics. Ang electrical unsa man more on electricity plus unsa man ang electricity plus nganong kal. Kuan man na siya, sir, mechanical. Mo nang electrical na siya, sir. Okay? Might be right. Okay. So sa electronics, kung mingon nga ni kag electronics, naa na diha ang application sa mga devices, sa mga software, sa mga programming nga mosulod na pud si computer tungod kay sa electronics na magidang ila diha ang nga area. Si electrical is focused on like assembly, formulation, and then kanang wiring, mao na ilang pudlan pod, no? Load asa pwede, asa dili pod pwede nga nganong electrical engineer nganong nga nag-apil-apil man kanang distribution lines nga mga study or projection. So di pod ka pwede moingon nga di nga nganong i-question imong iyang capability, because it's their job as electrical engineers when it comes to electrical, no? Nganong electronics man ka niya, nisulod man ka sa company sa Philips nga mag-produce man na sila og mga fluorescent bulbs o niya lamps nga pang electrical man na, no, because it started with the production wherein electronically it is being formulated or made as a product na gamiton sa electrical but not as because electrical siya nga product, no? So you need to broaden your mind as engineer para makaba-aware ka, because there are things now, there are instances now nga mag-away, maglalis ang mga engineers kay uy, civil man ko, nganong dili man ko ninyo pa-designon anang nganong di man ko ninyo patrabahoon sa irrigation sa niya nga amo man na. Okay, so there are now bounds sa areas sa kanang trabaho. Ibiira man ka o man kay nahibalaan nganong magapil-apil mga farm to market road. So nowadays farm to market roads are being kanang delegated na sa ABEs and not to the civil engineers. Sa una ilaha karon from the term farm to market roads pang EBE na. Wa pa tayo sa EBE nilaktob na ta. So nga na ha. Now, wala na ako gi-appeal sa electrical diha pero diretso na ta. Si agricultural and biosystems engineers or engineering is designed to produce graduates who possess knowledge, skills, and attitudes. Okay, remember the three terms, no? Before you graduate, you are required to possess these three things. Okay, knowledge, kaalam, skills, no? Technical or academic nga skills, and attitude. Mao nang dili pwede nga mo-graduate ka nga habugiro kay ka, pa bright kayo ka no, wala kay sakto nga pamatasan. So we need to instill in our mind that bahalag pag magna cum laude ang imong utok, ang imong pong batasan, pag magna cum laude pud nga batasan, dili kay magna cum laude imong utok pero ang imong kinaiyahan pang kilid-kilid, no? Bahala naman lang og ang imong pangutok sakto ra, basta ang imong pong pamatasan maayo pod, no? Pang beyond what is expected po, di kay ingani naman lang gani ang atong kakayahan samot pag kita nga way batasan, unsa na lang gyud, no? You are not professionally and sound individual in the future. All right? So the three things, knowledge, magunsa man pud ang imong ka-bright kung wala pud kay skills. That's why moingon ta nga bright kay na siya sa college, sa high school, pero pag abot niya sa iyang trabaho, no, di gid siya kabalo. O wala nga kay bright raman, theory raman, but no skills. Di kabalo mo gamit, di kabalo mo drawing, di kabalo mo sulat, di kabalo mo write og letter, di kabalo mo storya. Wala tanan. So bright, magna cum laude, but you have no skills. Knowledge is given na sa ato through our talents nga bright in terms of utok, bright in terms of kanang nagitay kahibalo, no? Bisan pag i-twist ang problem, bisan pag tuwaron baliskad ang problem sa math or sciences or sa professional courses, maka-answer gid ka kay given na sa imong talent in terms of knowledge. Other knowledge nga kanang ihatag sa inyo pareha karon nagklasiko, that's just additional knowledge na lang, additional knowledge i-instill sa inyo nga mauna. But you already have that knowledge. Kanang moingon ko nga basic knowledge based sa imong mga curiosity, no? So skills, when we say skills like technical skills nga moingon nga mo undergo mo training, mo appeal mo og kanang tudluan mo sa pag-drawing, asa sa sayop, asa ang tama, and then you will apply that to your knowledge. Patandi na din knowledge using skills, kabalo na dayon ka how to do that because you already have the skills, no? Kabalo ka nga ang tulay kay mahugno di ay pagingani ang load, kabalo lang ka. Pero unsaon nimo pag-atake nga dili siya mahihitabo. So you have the skills now. How? So dito na naatakyon sa imong design ug sa imong drawing. Okay? Attitude, mingon na sila nga bright na wala gi batasan, no? So magunsa pud ang atong kamaayo kahibalog ang atong skills, mabutay kinaiyahan nga sakto. So you need to pair these three things as a professional in the near future. Okay? So kani daw tulo gamiton daw nato ni para maka-design ta og mga systems and processes nga magamit sa sustainable production, in post-production, harvesting, post-harvest, producing safe food and feed, fiber, timber, and other agricultural and biological materials, the efficient utilization, conservation, and management of natural and renewable resources, and development of climate change mitigation measures in order to enhance human health in harmony with the environment. That's why some people would say agricultural and biosystems engineers are the jack of all trades, but master of none. Why? Because naanatanan sa EBE, related sa environment na sa EBE, related sa electrical na ang EBE, electronics na ang EBE, mechanical, civil, unsa pa may naa sa EBE, geology na sa EBE, environmental science, agriculture, crop science, sa pamandiha, animal science, naanatanan sa EBE. Ang problema na lang, how would you practice if sakto ba ang imong pagkatao when it comes to knowledge, skills, and attitude? Okay? So, mo nang moingon sila nga the EBE kabalo ng EBE makatudlo si EBE ana kay na siya background sa refrigeration, thermodynamics, aquaculture, fishery, tanan na naa sa EBE. The problem now is the three things if still ba nga naa pa sa iyang pagkatao, the knowledge, skills, and attitude. Okay? So that's why we as the EBE engineers, we are the broadest, I can say that we are the broadest in terms of fields of specializations and knowledge other than the other engineering fields. No, sa way pabor-pabor. I don't care if this lecture is recorded because makabantay ka. Okay. Pag when it comes to machinery na sa EBE, naaman na sa civil, wala. Kung maingon ta og structure na sa civil na apod sa EBE. So we are called as the jack of all trades, the jack of all specializations, but we are mastering nothing. Kay maglibog naman kaasa ka mag-focus. Unless if you are teaching, you can teach everything. But when you are in the field, you will just focus on the field. Kung naka sa isa ka production area, production engineer gid ka. Kung naka sa LGU, more on sa farming ka, no? More on sa machinery or product development or whatever. But in the teaching, in the academy, imo tanan, no? Bright ka sa tanan dapat. Pa-bright. Okay? So that's agriculture and biosystems engineers. And I will not tell you the deeper sense of agriculture and biosystems engineers because I know that you have intro to AB engineering. Nagklase na ba mo? Intro to AB engineering. Nagklase na mo, ani?
Orientation, sir.
Orientation pa, sir.
The intro to AB engineering is the first professional course nga inyong kuhaon. This one, ES10 is the first engineering science, no? Pagsunod-sunod na dahil na is 11, 12, 13, 14, and so on. Ang sa EBE po, EBE 100, 101, 2, 3, and 4. So dirita, background tatanan. Okay? So I will not tell you everything about EBE. Kaya basig, that's the role of the instructor or the professor of the EBE 100. Okay. Mechanical engineering, kung makayon kang mechanical engineering, they are in line with the design, involved design, manufacturing, inspection, and maintenance of machinery, equipment, and components. Kanang maingon, sir, kanang mang repair di ay sir sa truck, sir, sa kanang mga guba nga sakyanan, mechanical engineer di na sila, sir. Pwede po. Mechanical engineer siya, pero mang repair siya. Ano man di ay mang repair? Okay, dagko man nagkwarta ang mang repair, ang mga mekaniko. But, dili gid sila usually normally nga mga mechanical engineers because mechanical engineers are doing the technical, no? So somehow naa sila sa kanang mga technicality or sa application ang mga mang-repair ay mao na sila ang mga machinist, no? Mechanical or technician, mao na sila ang mga tig-repair. No, so lahi punto sila nga story, but basically the principles that they are following is based on the mechanical na science or mechanical engineering, no? So maglisod ka po og pangita nga mechanical engineer yan ang repair. Usually ang mga mechanical engineer, they are still doing research, they are still doing kanang mga development or kanang innovation, innovative step or mga sa tawagan na invention when it comes to mechanical nga aspect, no? So panagsara sila nga mo undergo gid ka ng mga repair, maintenance, but they are doing it's part of their career. All right, so I hope that you can really differentiate now the different engineering principles. So mao na ni sa electrical, no? So design, testing, manufacturing, construction, control, monitoring, and inspection of electrical and electronic devices karon. Ngano ni appeal naman po na sa electronic diha, sir, nga pang electronics man kaha na, sir. Ngano kaha nga part gihapon sa electrical ang electronic nga devices. Ngano kaha nga part gihapon sa electrical engineering ang electronic devices. Mapa.
Hello, sir. Based sa ako na research, sir, electronics engineering is a subfield po of electrical engineering.
Because you think that electrical engineering is a subfield of electronics engineering. Okay, last, Darren. Ano kaha?
In my opinion, sir, kay kanang dili man sa function, I mean, mukhang machine, sir, kung wala may electric na naa sa sulod ba. So kinahanglan nga naana siya kay para mag-work gani ang uban nga mga dagko nga mga machines and other nga mga kanang devices, sir.
Okay. So, the answer is electronic devices are devices. So when we say devices, it's a end, it's a product, it's an output, it's a developed product that is being used by a mass number of people or any end users. No, so how can we develop that without the basic principles of electricity? No, like kung sa man nga mga electronic devices ang available kasagara cellphone, laptop, sa padiha available nga nani mo computer, it still follows the principle of electricity, no? So that's why they are still okay in terms of, that's why karon nga panahon niabot na sa point nga maglalis na si electrical engineer o si electronics engineer nga naman na isa ka client magpataod og magpabuhat og balay ang nag-design, okay, ang nagkandak og design si architect, ang nagbuhat og kanang design analysis sa balay si engineer, si structural engineer or civil engineer, and then si civil engineer will do the implementation of the project as a project engineer. Now the building code requires that the electrical engineer must sign the design of the house na para mo perma dito sa electrical engineer na okay nang iyang electrical layout, mao na ni ang iyang number of receptacles required, number of lamps, fluorescent bulbs, asa niya itaon ang convenience outlet, asa niya ibutang ang raceways. That's the role of electrical engineers. But, okay, kung moingon tag mga appliances na electronics, asa na pud ibutang ang ref, asa isaksak si ref, pilay load ni ref, pilay karga ni oven, pila diri ang iyang load ni kanang magbutang ko diri ang aircon, ana. That's the role of electronics engineers. Si electronics engineers na mo project ana, siya na po mo perma that the load, proposed load or appliances or electronics that the taniya of this house wanted to put up are in agreement with the basic rules or ruling or standards of electronics engineering practice. So tulo na, upat na, lima na may mamerma na karon. So dako man din nga building kay restaurant man na or kuan man na hotel, si sanitary engineer musulod na pud siya ito sa mga waste utilization, waste disposal, dito na po si sanitary engineer. Si ABA, wag gitaw labot si ABA basta mga commercial building na, no? Kay we are not part of that, no? We are not into that, no? So si ABA, asa si ABA masulod kung unsa raman if it's a farm structure, wa na poy labot si kuan dito, na poy labot si civil, na poy labot si electronics. Hangkupon na pud na tanan ni ABE, hambugiro ba si ABE. So si ABE na pud ang mag-design og electrical layout sa kuan, asa dapit ang pole, ang central sa pole, sa electrical layout kung farm structures na. Dili na pud sila pwede manghilabot basta farm structures na. Okay? It's either a small, medium or a large structure, it's still ABE. No? I hope nga inyo magahin ha na ay instances nga mag-abot ang pagkinahanglan kang electrical, electronic, civil or whatever, but they have really specific functions. Sama sa akong na-mention. Katong mga appliances, dili na to kang electrical. Ang electronics na to, katong mga electronics devices, siya na po mo perma kung in terms of loading. Okay? Si civil, diha na po siya taman. But not all kang architect, not all kang civil, not all kang electrical. Alright? Okay. So si civil, this is the most common, I guess, for me. This is the common known engineering field in the world, no? So they are doing construction, design, maintenance, inspection of large infrastructure projects such as highways, railroads, bridges, tunnels, dams, and airports, no? So naay mga ABE, naay mga electrical nga nisulod sa construction, but their work is not merely on the design and implementation. So siguro mag-monitor lang sila sa mga tao, ansa diha ang mga kulang nga materials, but in terms of design and monitoring or design and implementation, we are not into that. No, it's civil engineers. Okay? So aerospace, mentioned kanina ni Kyle, it involves design, manufacturing, and testing of aircraft and spacecraft, as well as parts and components such as airframes, power plants, control. So, matingala ka nga na-produce ng aeroplano na napoy bago nga brand, bago nga unit sa aeroplano. So, we already know that aerospace engineers did that, no? So, the mind of that new invention or new innovation is done by the aerospace engineers. nuclear engineers, so when we say nuclears, it's the basic principle which follows the nuclear reactors or electric power plants and ships, no? So more on they are on the ocean, so they are really expert in oceanography, they are really expert in uh sa tawag ani na term ana kanang moingon tag kanang kanang bitawng underground sa marine, no? So they are really expert in terms of like marine, submarine. So naapod na sa nuclear engineering na aspect because nuclears are usually developed or designed in a very critical, no, nga pamaagi, no, dili siya pareho sa kanang mingon ka nga magtukod kag poste diha lang pwede na as long as ang elevation okay wa dili babag, no? So ang nuclear, they are really keen into critical nga mga pamaagi, no? Aerospace, ang aerospace proven and tested kay ana na mudagan based on the aero and hydrodynamic properties, mulupad magin na siya kung ingani ang material gamiton, so it's given. So what the aerospace engineers doing are replicate, no? Replicate the number or the production of mga airplanes, no? And then somehow i-develop nila nga na po something new sa airplanes or usa pa ka mga studies. But the nuclear, it's very for me it's the most difficult one, no? Kay moagi tanan civil, environmental, sanitary, geology or geodetic, uh, even agricultural nga aspect mokuha gid sa nuclear iyang yung ikarga tungod kay very critical, no? The main goal of nuclear is no one will be harmed, no? So humans, animals will be protected from these innovations, no? So that's why nuclear is, I think for me, is the hardest among all. That's why it's not easy to study nuclear in the Philippines, wala. Abroad dapat kamong eskwela kay expensive and very time consuming siya nga eskwelahan. Biomedical is just a combination of medical and biological, no? But deeper adding biomedical is electronics, no? Most electronics engineers will go into biomedical engineering because this will also uh, talk about uh, the advancement of technologies kanang moingon ka magpa X-ray ka, magpakuan ka, magpa MRI test ka. So it's a product of biomedical nga mga development, no? So ang doktor kay man na sila mag-study, no, nga mag-invent sila og kanang inhibitor or whatever nga instrument, wala man na sa ila. Doctors are more on the diseases ana. So ang nurses samot, no, wala po na sa ila, sa mga midwives, sa mga medtech, no? So ang medtech technology, they are just in the application on sa paggamit sa kaninga instrument, on sa paggamit ani nga mga technology. That's the role of medtech. But the development, the innovation of products applicable to medicine or to medical area, it's the biomedical engineers. That's why mostly people who are engaged in biomedical engineering are electronics engineers by profession. Ambak sila, manto sila biomedical because they are good at electronics nga mga development. All right, chemical, more on mixtures, more on the from the term chemical, no? So they are from fresh product to raw products. That's why kita po mga EB engineers, feeling mga chemical engineers putang ano man, when you reach food process engineering, properties of AB materials, post-harvest engineering, you will learn a lot from raw to processed foods, no? Example, I'm handling properties of AB materials, food engineering. May bala nimo okay ngano di ay nga ang uban wa kabalo nga ang asukal di ay kay gikan di ay sa sugar cane, no, gikan di ay siya sa tubo. Ma-realize na lang nimo nga okay bantog ra paggawas sugar na tungod ani nga process. What are the processes involved herein? What are the properties that are applied herein? So somehow chemical engineers know that, no, basic principles of that, or even the complicated principles of that, or the mixed principles, chemical engineers know that, no? That's why mingon sila nga pag ang chemical engineers daw kanang gila ay mag-invento na lang daw na og dili mga maayo nga chemicals. So it's not good to say that because they know already what's the processes behind that, no? Inom kag Coca-Cola, it's a product of chemical engineers and biological engineers, no? Nang inom ka og kanang sito, no? Asa di ka ng sito, asa ka kay process nga involved ana, you do not know because you are just the end user. There's a lot of minds involved before ka nakainom og sito, before ka nakakaon sa imong gikaon karon nga lami. it undergoes a lot of processes involved, wherein chemical engineers, biological engineers did that. Okay? So let's be thankful to our chemical and biological engineers. Okay? I hope nga nagahin-gahin na. Computer is purely more on the computer and even programming, development of systems, components, hardware, software. So in computer engineers did that. Industrial, unsay kalahian sa industrial pud sir og civil, no? So si industrial, they are more on the industries, no? The relationship between industrial and chemical is that they both involved in the processes. For example, pagsulod sa mangga, paggawas juice na, no? So electrochemical engineers and industrial engineers might know the same, no? What's the process? But industrial, kung mingon kang industrial, from the term industry, industry so more on plants, production, somehow some others would do in packaging, so no. So nana sila kanang mga conveyor nga mga aspect, kita pud mga hambugiro gyapon ang IBE, no? Kay kanang mga trabaho sa industrial, kanang mga conveyor style nga food quality assessment, sudlan pud na sa IBE kanang sorting, grading, classification, no? Quality, non-invasive quality evaluation sa foods. Apil po ng IBE, anak, mag-study po ng IBE, no? That's why, bisag asa ni mo isulod sa IBE, pwede gina, swak gina sa IBE, kaya na siya basic background, no? So, that's the industrial engineers do, mga manufacturing, material processing, and number of work related to industry and the environment. No, dili pwede nga ang ilang gi-produce nga product, basta lang sila mag-produce nga ilang lang gipang dispose ilang waste without proper nga sanitation, proper disposal. So industrial engineers also are good at environmental aspect. Ambak ta sa environmental. So sa environmental, mura siya gipalibutan sa tanan, kay tanang engineering moagi sa kang environmental, no? Maibi man ka civil, industrial, electrical, tanan. Why? Wastes or the products developed by industrial, chemical, electrical, electronics, agricultural, and whatever will really adhere the principles behind environmental. That's why environmental is common to all, no? Makabantay mo tanang engineering na environmental engineering nga subject. Kita na atay AB, engineering, environment, and management. Dili kina pwede nga wala environmental kay magunsa na lang imong ka-bright as ABA, kunya ang imo na yung production, ang imong farm waste dito imo ra gilabay-labay bisag asa moagi sa ta diri sa environmental. We will learn environmental so that we are related to sanitary engineering na po dayon ta. Okay? So si sanitary engineering wala sa presentation, siya pud tong mga mura siya og deeper nga field sa environmental engineering, no? That's why now commercial buildings, high-end nga mga kuan will require the signature of sanitary engineers to prepare, to make sure that this structure, this infrastructure really follows the standards, okay, the policies behind environmental and sanitary permits, no? Okay? All right, so sa history, let's continue. So sa history of engineering, for the history of engineering, when did the engineering begin? What were the first engineering designs? Who were the first engineers? No, let's answer that. Okay, ingon diri, the beginning of engineering was started on 6,000 to 3,000 before Christ. No, it probably occurred in Asia Minor or Africa in 8,000 years and changed from nomadic life. Okay, kumingon kang nomadic life from hunter to gatherers. Katubang mga tao sa unang mga panahon nga wala pa ta na imagine nga mabuhi di ta, maabot di ta ni nga kalibutan. Katong mga tao sa unang mga tagaw, no? The term for the Bisaya is tagaw. Paila man say tagaw? What is tagaw? What is tagaw?
Ignorant.
Langway. Ignorant. Kanang mga tao nga kanang mahadlok makakita og dili pareho sa ila, no? So, from being a hunter to become a gatherer. So, it started there. No, kana bang murag makakita siya og prutas, kuhaon niya, and then pagkuha niya sa prutas, i-dry niya, i-store niya. So, it was already an engineering. Daghan kaayo. Engineering naman na, anything that you have an innovative idea nga imong gi-implement ana, it's part of the engineering. It already started there. In the agrarian society daw, in the agricultural society, the basis or the beginnings of agriculture firms started with the civilization, no? Katong kabalo na sila mag bayo man na sa Bisaya, guys, katong traditional way of milling rice, bayo-bayo, ana-anaon nimo ang bayo, kabalo na sila mag-grill, no? Kabalo na sila magsugba. Already an engineering, daghan kaayo nga mga kuan sa una nga engineering na ang aspeto. And then plants, how to cultivate plants, they learn already before kung saan nila pagtanom. So pag magtanom ka unsa man imong bungkalon ang yuta, no, tawag ana is plowing. So that time nga ilan nang giplow, it was already considered as engineering kay anything innovative step engineering man, no, anything na you are not doing the traditional or the common way, it's already an innovative or inventive step, so it's engineering. And then they domesticate animals to form a food, no, sila din nag-invento gid sa una nga mukaon na ta karon og karning baboy, karning baka, karning manok, no, so it started from them, no. Kung wala din sila naka-imbento ana nga pwede dai makaon, pwede ta madaot, then wala na sa ato karon, no. And they built permanent houses. So from the term built, they constructed, unsa naman na to, engineering na to kay nag-design man sila mao ni, no, from the mind. Mao ni akong buhaton atop ni kani ang kusina, kani ang kuan. So they were the first engineers, no. So sa inyong nga-mention kanina kinsa tong mga engineers, I don't know if you are right, but the first engineers began in the before Christ 6,000 to 3,000, and they are Asians and micro-Asians, no, or Africans. All right. So by that, no, tungod ana nga mga idea nila, the food were increased in terms of production, no. Daghan na, wa na nangapas mo, no. So sa ilang nga time nag-involve pud og kanang mag-involve pud sa una sa ilang nga time og kanang i-dry na nila ang pagkaon, mag-ihaw silang karne, i-dry nila, na-realize nila nga kung i-dry di ay makaon gihapon ang dried food for how many days. So they were engineers before, no, they were scientists. Kaya nakahuna-huna man sila ana, no. Karon kay moingon tag engineer kung graduate, kung passer. But before, actually a lot of engineers na actually ang nahitabo, no, ang nabuhi nga mga engineers, ang mga engineering ang ilang mindset, no. And then they form rulers to stabilize their community or their kasi tawag ana group. And then the complete work, how to complete work, na sila yung mga proseso nga sige mahuman na to nig tanom kung ingani ang imong capacity, kung ingani ang imong number of binhi, mao ni ang imong kuan. So they become scientists and engineers already before, no. And then they form as supervisors, foremen, workers, artisans. Unsay mga workers, artisans? Unsay idea sa artisans? Artista, sir. Unsay artisans? Unsay artisans?
Mga craftsmen, sir.
Craftsmen, no. They are the old style craftsmen kana bang maghulma bitaw silang mga banga, kailamog mga banga sa mga panahon pa sa atong lolo o lola, kana bitaw matinga ay lami sa ilang tubig, uy wala giref pero tugnaw, because it is made of banga, no, made of kana mga clay nga mga kuan material. So ilan na sa una nga panahon pa, no, dili ta karon mo ingon nga ako si kuan engineer kuan, ako si engineer Pacquiao and I am good at kuan. No, even before wala sila na recognize, but they already did that. Karon lang siguro ang atong medyo advanced kay nagamit na tagingani nga material, instrument or equipment. Pero sa una pa na, no, they already did that. Less recognition lamang. Okay. So naara si artisans, they are considered as the first engineer. Who were the first engineer? So daghan sila, sir. They are the artisans sa una, sir. They are considered as the first engineer. All right? Remember that. Mao na sila katong mga moadto ka sa isa ka area sa mga tribo or whatever, matingala ka nga makapalit kang mga bakos, mga habak, no? So the before pag yun na ang mga tao, they are already inventing a lot of materials ang ginagamit nato karon. All right? Magamit kag kutsara karon, ang kanang imong kutsara nga gigamit kay made of steel naman na or whatever, made of plastic. Sa una pa nga panahon, clay man ang gamit na nila. They were the first engineers and scientists before, right? So early achievements in this era, methods of producing fire. Okay, so na-mention ni kanina. Isa to nag-mention kanina. So the first step daw ingon siya si Mapa. According to Mapa, producing fire was the first achievement and considered as considered as an engineering step, no? So Mapa was right, no? Mapa was right, but not specific only to producing fire. A lot of activities or a lot of inventive step na ilang nabuhat sa una. Okay? So one is producing fire. kana po daw mag-melt og rock-like materials and then it will form as useful material. For example, hulmahon lang nila guys, magkabot sila siguro sa una at time, magmina sila, magkabot sila underground, beneath, kabot sila, makafeel sila nga, o kani kay ang yuta is brown, rich in kuani, maayo ni buhaton og kanang sipak, maayo ni buhaton og kanang espada, no? So buhaton nila made from that particular color sa yuta, no? So wala sila scientifically, wala sila kabalo unsa gyud story behind ani, but they know that it can be made like this, no? We can produce like this. So that was the time that these materials were already available, no? Which was product of innovation or engineering na step, no? So na sila yung mga symbol sa una, written in communication. So they were not just karon kung ano man ang mga electronics and communications engineer karon, advanced naman ang karon, no? Di naman ang mga baguhan, di man ang mga original sa una gid ay, no? Kay dito gid nag-start ang mga signals, no? Kanang mga signals nga pag-ingani ang signal mao ni ang pasabot. So they were already engineers before, no? In the communications area. All right, in the agriculture, a lot of engineering steps were already implemented before, even before during the 6,000 to 3,000 BC. But the first irrigation systems to promote crop growth was somehow the first considered as it was the first, the biggest, no, the biggest, the largest, and even the famous first engineering product or engineering achievement based on the curiosity or based on the idea of the people before, no? Imagine ako na gid siguro sila sa una nga unsaon nato dino nga ang atong moagi nga suba di man moagi sa atong tanom. So let's try to think of the possibilities nga ang tubig sa suba atong ipasaka. Unlike karon, no, kay kung rich kid ka, farmer ka, pwede naman ka mo palit og water pump. Okay? Sa una sa ila na ba water pump? Wala man, no? So they are trying to do things, or they tried things that can be possible as much as they can na ma-utilize nila. So nag-irrigation na lang dahil sila sa una, giunsa ka nila, no? So these are the things that we can say. Yes, Lapuri, do you want something to say?
Oh, yeah, sir. Napisletra, sir.
Okay, amin ako ikaw magpadayon sa
Sorry.
lecture ba?
Sorry, sir.
Amin ako ikaw magpadayon ba kay nakabantay kag ikapoy naman Sir Philip. Okay. So, remember ha, kato ko mag-mention basig pag-exam di na mo katubag. All right. So, ang mga inventions or innovations sa una, guys, example is ang plow daw, ang yoke of wheel and axle was already invented even before, no? What do you mean by plow? Unsa man plow sa Bisaya?
Daro,
Unsa
sir.
plow sa Bisaya? Daro. Ang yoke?
Yogo, sir.
Yugo, no? Kaila mo ani? Kakita mo ani? Wala pa sila
Yes,
kakita.
sir.
Ate.
Kita kayo, sir.
Taga-bukid,
Daro,
sir.
sir.
Nami kabaw sa una.
Sige. Pag picture ka, nagsakay kabaw ba yun? I-send sa GC. Okay, joke lang. All right. Let's continue. So, even before, no? Kinsa ka bisag ikaw siguro, no, nga example, imagine na to nga kita ang mga sinaunang tao. Imagine lang ha. Dili itong mga sinauna pag yun itong mga Homo sapiens. Ikaw lang. Okay? So, but think that we are the first people in the 6,000 to 3,000 before Christ. Remember that. And then, not remember, consider that kita na. And then, we can feel, we can appreciate them kay nakauna-huna dahil sila nung nga naami kabaw. Unsaon na mo si kabaw kay para maka-cultivate mi, maka-plow mi. Okay, magbuhat ko og yugo. So, ang yugo dapat ang naong day niya pinaana, no? Imagine that. So they become the first people who have high thinking ideas or thinking skills, no? Karon ang student kita, mga student or mga advanced people, we are now living in the 21st century. Pag-design mo og product nga somehow applicable sa kani, wala, mahuman na lang ang semester, di gid ka design ang student. May pa dito sa unang mga panahon, no, wala sila resources, wala sila notebook, wala sila ballpen, wala sila Wa sila gi sa eskwela, wa sila basic background sa engineering sciences, but they can innovate. Karon hinuon kita nga available na tanan maglisod. So let's think of that, no? Let's think of that nga naka-design man lagi sila yogo sa una, daro. Naka-design man lagi sila kanggahan or naka-design man lagi sila og araro. Karon wala man lagi, no? So they were the first engineers in our in the previous days, no? So by that they already invented windmills or even nakaunahon na sila kapoy man magkabo, no? Magkabo ta mo adto patag lake, I mean rivers, or moadto pa taog kanang mga magkuan pa ta, maghago pa ta. So let's try to think of the possibility daw that we can extract water out of this particular innovation. So nagbuhat sila og unsay tawag, mura siya windmill style, pero ang purpose gid niya is i-extract niya ang tubig sa groundwater. So pag tuyok niya, mukabo siya sa ilalom, kabo, hindi na sila maghago-hago og adto sa mga sa mga suba, no? So nag-design silang mga mini windmill style nga innovation, and then pag tuyok-tuyok ana, unsa may makapadagan ana nga makatuyok siya? Tao? Birabirahon sa tao? What do you think?
Hangin.
Hangin.
Wind, sir.
Oh, so tungod sa wind, magkabo na. So kada tuyok ana niya na naka-connect nga kanang murag kanang PC bakahan connected dito automatic siya mokabo og tubig, and then the energy nga being generated pwede pod ga I don't know on that during their time it already produced light or energy to them, pero sure ko nga wala pa toy uso sa ila sa una ang mga computer, laptop, wala pa man ginano, wala pa man ang mga cellphone, wala pa man ang suga sa ilang time. But could you imagine how smart they are, how bright they are before, no? So wag itay right karon nga moingon ta nga kako ana kay ang ato is just secondary na lang sa una nga mga panahon, no? So think of that. And in the cradle of civilization, Mesopotamia, the clay baka ako na-mention ngayon na katong ang ilang mga thermos kay made of clay, ang ilang mga lutuanan kay made of clay, no? Tingala ka bisag unsa ka init, yubuhan imong kalayo, lami kayo ang luto nga imong na luto sa katong pots nga made of clay. Katong banga made of clay, pag katugnaw kay sa tubig, mura ra pug nagbutang kag ice, no? So they were really high. They really possess high IQ before, no? So mga bright gid sila. So ilang yung gigamit ang ilang pangutok. And then did you remember this one, the where that's Egypt? Is that Egypt? Kato bitaw until now still present. I don't know if you are aware of that in your history, world history. Kanang mura siya triangle style sa Egypt. Triangle. Sa term na guys.
Pyramid of
Pyramid.
Giza.
Pyramid of Giza.
Oh, so it was also part of their
Pyramid, sir.
The earliest kanang civilization, no, nga maka-imagine sila. Yeah, pyramid. Maka-imagine sila og ingana nga mga ideya sa una, no? So the plans how to create a city, a municipality, a province, even before it will lead by someone. So they were not just even engineers and scientists, they were social workers, they were doctors before, no? So they treat themselves, no? They innovate products, foods, feeds, fiber, medicines for them, no? So it's the history really that can say that we already had engineers before, no? Dili kay engineers siya kay nakapasar sa board exam, no? Even before there's a lot of engineers, even smartest and brightest than us. So ayaw ka offend, mas bright pa to sila sa ato sa una kaysa karon, no? So then it also then the sexagesimal system, nakakuan mo sexagesimal system. Is it taught to you during your high school nga kanang 360 degrees nga karon protractor naman imong gamito, no? Protractor can only measure 190 degrees, right? Kanang isa ra ka anaan ang protractor from the center to the center motuyok isa ka protractoran. Kung duhaon nimo si protractor, it's sexagesimal na system or 360 degrees, no? So before pa lang na ilan na lang na invento. So dili ta watay right nga magangkon-angkon nga maayo kay taaning mga kuan, because before pa na, no, kapanahonan pa ni kuan, sexagesimal or measurements were already established how to measure, no? So sila ni mga Einstein, sila ni Faraday, sila ni kinsa pa diha inyo nailan nga scientist, they are just following the principles of these first people, no? So Babylonian engineers, they are really the first engineers who were considered in terms of excelling in mathematics and sciences, no, algebra, no. So they were the first engineers who build numbers or multiples infrastructures, no. So in terms of the hydraulic works o kanang mga irrigations, canals or drainage, so it was done before during the Babylonian era or Babylonian engineers. Okay? So ingani kanindot ang mga Babylonian garden kana makita na sa mga libro, no, kana sa mga Bibles, it's just a representation naman, no. So but it was done before, it was established, it was constructed even before. All right? So I hope that you have learned on the history of engineering, no, kay let's learn that dili kay diretso dahil na og engineering nga sciences wagay ta kabalo asa gid nagsugod kinsa kanus-a, no. So tanawa, and then we could really see that their designs before are so kanang well nga versed ang ila pagka-design, no, well versed ang mga tao sa una, dili ingon nga basta na lang. So during the time pa sa una gani niabot pa to point nga ang ila ganing pang mixture paste sa ilang mga concrete is itlog. Did you know that? Magbuak lang sila itlog, millions or thousands of itlog as their admixture kay di pa man uso sa una ang semento sa ila, no. Sa ato nga time advanced na ginta. Sa ila advanced sila sa ila ra pong time na unsay applicable or resources na naa sa ila. And this one, the pyramid that I have mentioned, so the Egyptian engineers was the first, or were the first and last in the year 2000, 1000 years, who built stones out of 2,300,000 stones to make it like a pyramid, no? They were the first engineers who made that. They were Egyptian engineers. They are outstanding in terms of skills in land measurement and building, no. So they were considered that, and then as well as transit and level, no. So ang theory behind geodetic, guys, is the elevation above sea level, below sea level, transition sa elevation, mao na ila basic nila sa geodetic. So it was already done during the Egyptian era or engineers. All right? So sa Greece pod, ang Greece pod known po sila sa mga kanang mga innovation or mga engineering nga mga works when it comes to experimentation. Good at gid ang Greece ana, no, mga Greeks, Romans and Greeks when it comes to experimentation, when it comes to labor and works, how to make the labor and works how to make the works easier. So nato sa ilang time kay that was the time nga common or kuan sila sa slaves, okay. Ang ilang thinking sa una kay this work can only be done by a person. This work, if one person cannot do this, then I will hire at least 5 persons to do this fastly. But then they realized that this work can be done by a mechanical aspect, can be done by a power aspect. So it was the time na na-evolve na siya. So though mga tapulan siguro sila, no, mga relevant reliant ra sila when it comes to their slaves, but dito po nila na-realize nga okay, pwede man di ay nga mag-irrigate ka nga gamit ra ang natural flow. Ay nga na nga time sa una. So when the Romans think of that, so they really borrowed liberally the scientific engineering knowledge from the countries where they conquered, no. Kaya magsige man na sila adto-adto, magsige man na sila pangsakop sa unang mga panahon, no. So once na sila ma-learn dito, i-apply nila, and then they become also advanced, no? And then they become superior. Feeling nila sila na dayon ang nakabalo, sila na, but they only copied, made from their slaves who really did that, no. So but in fairness, in the times of Romans, the level of construction kanang mga mag-construct og kalsada, actually the Romans invented nga kana day magbuhat og kalsada, dili di ay pwede nga magbuhat lang kag kalsada nga kalsada lang nga imo ra lang tapukan og bato or concrete. Sa ilang nga time na realize na nila nga dapat di ay kung magkalsada ka kabuton sa nimo para naa kay basing sub-base, base, the upper base. So, na sa ilang nga time na sila na. Okay, so it was available, or it was invented in the time of Romans na. So sila di ay nakauna po na. All right? And then the Roman engineers also invented or designed structures na makasustain og water, nga example kung magbaha dili na mo overflow. So Roman engineers made that, no? So remember that it was Roman engineers made that. So pag tubig-tubig na gani, hydraulics and engineering ng mga principles nga gi-apply, so it was done by the Romans. Okay? Roman engineering na siya. Okay? Karon kay moingon tag, best in engineering is India. So ato na nga time, no? Best in science is this one, best in kuan, okay? So in the Middle Ages, from the 1st to 16th century, so na-establish na ginang engineering, guys. It already has mga definition or specific na kung kani innovative step, this is considered an engineering step. So the word engineer started during the Middle Ages until 16th century. Its roots lies in the Latin word ingeniare, which means to design or devise. So, kung makadungog kang term na mag-design o mag-devise, kung may kang device, nag-innovate, no? Kung mag-design ka, mag-layout. So, when you lay out, when you design something, and then when you produce something or devise something, and then it can be considered as an engineering na trabaho or engineering na mind. Alright? So it started in the Middle Ages. So animals, welfare of animals, humans are now or nowadays implemented or assisted by the engineering ng mga kuan works or principles. Okay? So sa una sa ilan na nahitabo na kanang magbuhat og sabon, magbuhat og mga pagkaon nga ilan nang ipang-dry. So they already did that. Okay? They already did that even before. Okay? So, naanata sa mga tao na dayon. So, si Johann Gutenberg, he invented the first movable type produced books printed on paper. So, siya ang una na nakapaprint og book sa isa ka papel nga movable type siya. Si Leonardo da Vinci, acclaimed as a great artist, he was an engineer as well, an inventor and architect, no? So sa military and civil engineering feats such as catapults, bridges, and buildings. So that's why even now, in the military group and even police group, naging na mga engineers nga ipang-hire nila because they really need the minds of engineers in terms of safety and in terms of defense, no? That's why naging na engineering department sa mga Philippine military, Philippine Army, no? Di na pwede nga sa isa ka platoon, I don't know if the correct term is platoon, lagi na engineer, civil or mechanical or whatever, kay what happen if there's a mechanical failure, no, sa ilang mga sakyanan, mga kuan, what happen kung di sila maka-design og kanang mga kampo or whatever, kung naigira asa sila sa ilang mga kuan. So the engineers are also needed, and even in the military and civil defense, no, even nowadays, not just before. Okay, sketches of future engineering devices as machine gun, bridge, helicopter, drone, bridge, roller. So mag-hire gid na. The Philippine Coast Guard will really hire engineers, marine engineers. The Army will hire civil and architect. Mag-hire gid na sila. They really need the expertise of engineers even nowadays. No? Not just before, but it was already practiced before. So si Galileo Galilei, do you know Galileo Galilei? What was his first invention? So Galileo Galilei discovers the gravitational acceleration. Velocity a body achieves while falling is independent of weight, no? Kung mayingon ka anak, balik ta sa inyong physics, kung mahulog ka ang imong timbang is 20, ayaw pag-expect nga ang imong amigo nga ang timbang 25 pareho mo og speed pag mahulog, no, because by gravitational law lahi-lahi mo og speed or lahi-lahi mo og kadalion mahulog dito sa ubo sa ground because of your weight. So your weight is dependent, no, is directly dependent to the speed or to the specific time that you will fall to the ground. So that was the first invention of Galileo Galilei, no? So what if ikaw nakauna-una ka nga, okay, kung mukaon di ay ka mabusog, okay, kinsa ka i-name na dahil na sa imo nga, ang mukaon di ay kay mabusog. So di-name na dahil na sa imo, no? So si Kyle, imagine si Kyle sa unang panahon naka-realize siya nga kung mukaon di ay mabusog. Okay, it was already named to Kyle Pitao that the theory behind mukaon and then mabusog is also a theory, or is also an invented innovative na idea, no? So imagine that may gani kay karon na ta, wala ta sa unang panahon. Torricelli and Pascal, no? Unsa man si Pascal? Unsa nga term ang imong madungog basta moingon kag Pascal? Sige daw. Kung moingon tag Pascal, unsa nga term ang mo-come up sa imong mind? Torricelli and Pascal. Sa makatubag. Kung moingon tag Pascal, pressure. Very good, Christian, no? So ang pressure kanang makaingon ka nga magsakay kog airplane, no? Pagsakay nimo airplane, ni sakit man akong dalunggan, ibis kinana ko sa taas because as the altitude increases, the pressure increases as well, but the temperature decreases. Do you know that? Pag naana mo sa taas, imbis kay nagkaduol mo sa sun, mas unsa man, mas tugnaw na hinuon, dili init. Ang init na diri sa lower ground, because as the temperature as the gradient, or as the height increases, magkataas ka from the ground, your temperature decreases na hinuon, no? Mas init actually diri sa ubos kaysa sa naka sa taas, no? But the pressure increases when the altitude or the height increases. So that's the basic before. Kung ako pa lang di ay sa una nakauna, daghan kay kung mao nahunaan, it was already named to me all the things nga akong nahunaan, no? So sa una gi kuan na nila, mao nang maniguang gid sila sige ko nahuna kay ipang prove man nila wa man sila yung mga instrument sa una be nga gamiton. Karon naman sa ato ang mga instrument nga gamiton. So sa una nga time wala na sa ila nga na instrument nga gamiton nga mag-measure og ana, no? So imagine that. And Boyle's law discovers the expansion quality of air and the correlation between temperature, volume, and pressure. Unsay equation sa Boyle's law? Kinsay makadumdum? Boyle's law. Be, kinsay maka-remember ana sa inyong chemistry or physics before?
The initial pressure times the initial volume is equal to the final times the final
Okay.
pressure and the final volume, sir.
Yeah, it follows the principle of Boyle's law. Kana bitang moingon kag P1 times V1 is equals to V1 times V2 times P2, no? Kanang whatever the initial and the final volume, and then the initial pressure and the final volume, you can equate that, and then you can get what would be the final and the initial volume, no? So it follows the Boyle's principles, no? So when we talk about the relationship between volume, temperature, and pressure, with respect to the air or to the fluid, so it follows the principles of Boyle's. Sila sa una, sige din sila gunahuna. They are the latest engineers na, no? They are the latest na sa una kay ano to sila, manghibahag raman to sila sa una, and then mag-invento na din silang tantaran. So they were the first engineers to invent tantaran. But in the later na, nagka-advance na, no? So unsa na lang sa inyong time puhod sa atong time, no? 10, 20, 30 years from now, ayaw gid pag-imbento niya og tantaran lang, no? Wala na humanata na, no? Think of that, no? Consider that as a challenge. Ayaw na mag-design ka og machine niya mo cut og kanang lubi human na, establish na publish na daghan ng engineer ana. So sa inyo nga panahon, sa ato nga panahon, it becomes more and more and more advanced. Katawan na ta kung nata invention nga ingana, no? Kumana ng mga tantaran diha sa una, kumana na lang kanang mutulay ka diha, kumana na mulatay ka sa kalsada kay naitulay, kumana na nga pila di ay kabuok tao ang maximum nga makarry ana, kumana na gistadyuhan na. It already follows the principle of structural theory and whatever diha. Tubig o Boyle's law, kumana na, no? So 17th and 18th century na nata karon sa 21st reaching 22nd century. Naunsa na lang no, katawan na to sa atong mga ideas ani, no? Hooke, no? Huygens, Newton. Sa ganin si Newton, we have 3 laws of Newton. Unsa ang first law? Who can recall the first law? First law of Newton.
Law of inertia.
Ha? Law of Newton of motion? Inertia. So you try to recall the motion, the laws or Newton laws of motion or inertia, Newton's law of whatever. So you try to recall that, no? It was already established before, no? Kanang unya i-relate pag yun sa calculus, no? Differentiation and integration. Nga kung kani daw ang motion nimo, ang movement nimo, unsa daw iyang relationship kung mag-ani ang imong time. So grabe, di na sila mga tulog sa una, mao nang mga tagas na kay sila mga buhok o balbas kay they were keen on thinking ever. Di na mangaon, sige na lang imagine, no? So already done that. Okay? So in the industrial age, karon na mga 18th to 19th centuries, so na itong mga invention na ni James Watt. Sige, unsa man ang James Watt? Unsa equation ni James Watt? Unsa man si James Watt? Known at si James Watt? Mukabalo? Unsa known si James Watt? Kung mayroon kang James Watt, unsa nga word ang mo relate sa iya?
Steam engine, sir.
What, sir?
Father of mechanical engineer.
Father of mechanical engineer. The term, the word that I want you to mention. Watts, yeah. Watts is
What,
James.
sir?
Watts lagi, yeah, coming from a name after Watts. But what's the story behind why James Watt invented this particular equation? Because of his curiosity in what? Curiosity in What? Wala?
Steam engine.
Steam engine, yeah. Steam engine lagi pero unsa iyang goal? Sukdo niya ang unsa ni steam engine?
Power, sir.
Power, energy or power, no? So si James Watt sige siguro magsakay siya sa una sa steam, magsakay siya sa unang mga barko or whatever. Siguro na unsaon man ako nino nga mahibal-an ako pila para magtubil ko maging ana. So and then ano niya mission na lang gid niya. Libog na lang gid siya no sa iyang ka-bright. So that's why it was named before James Yap. James Yap ba? James Watt, no? So it was named before James. Dili James Yap ha. Kung mag-answer ana sa exam mo James Yap. So si James Watt daw di ay. All right? So that's the first invention the kuan of power, how to measure power or energy. And then Alessandra Volta, the voltage, and then so on, ampere for the electricity in terms how to confirm the measure how to measure or confirm the flow of electricity or electricity flux, electrical current, and then Faraday, Michael Faraday. No, so when I was still in high school, I studied in Jacinto Elpa in Tandag, Surigao Sur, and then these were the sections of our high school before, like Michael Faraday, section Fleming, section like that. No, so in high school, students are really aware of this history, no, kaning mga ingani, scientific nga mga kuan. Okay, so and then ana si Henry Ford, no, nisulod na si Henry Ford sa 20th century mo na mag-drive og tractor karon. It's now named as Ford, brand sa tractor sa sakyanan Ford because of Henry Ford, because he builds and sells automobiles and mass production emerges. Gipangkopya na niya ang mga prinsipyo sa una para mo-produce yung mga sakyanan, pero mga bagtik kay nga mga sakyanan o mga heavy equipment ang iyang gipang-produce. But he did not invent anything as to base on the power related or electricity related, but he just utilized that particular and then produced a lot of vehicles or automobiles, and then he became the person name as for that particular automobile. So karon kung mag-produce niya kag daghan nga kanang product made from kanang kamunggay, maybe ma-name sa imo ang product, no? Mahimo na siya ang kanang Pacquiao, kamunggay, Moringa, Olivera, Ala Pacquiao. Yana, because of your innovative ideas, no? Then Nikola Tesla, no, siya ang pinakauna gyud nga nag-invento sa alternating current, no, application of alternating current and the polyphase induction motor. Sige, hapit na la 7, but my question is, unsa man kang Nikola Tesla? What is the difference between alternating current o direct current? Asa ninyo ni usually makita? Who can answer? Alternating current o direct current? Asan yun usually makita in everyday life?
Battery, sir.
Battery. What's si battery? Alternating or direct?
Direct, sir.
Direct current. No? Very good. Kisa to? Who was that? Arman. Kinsa to nag-answer? Si Musendi. Okay? So, very good, Musendi. So, naminaw gini si Musendi sa iyang instructor or teacher during high school. All right. So and so on, guys, and so on. So you read this, and then you read this because we are running out of time. And then the next part is, why do we need to study engineering, sir? Nga namang engineering, magid ka, sir. Ano, no? During your interview, did you remember me? Can you still recall that I was one of the panelists during your interview? Ano mag-engineer man mo? Anong sa kadaghan engineer? Ano mag-ABE man mo? Gusto gid ko, sir, makatabang sa mga farmers. Gusto gid ko, sir, mahimong engineer kay pangandoy sa akong ginikanan. Gusto gid ko, sir, mahimong engineer kay gusto gid ko makatrabaho og dakong sweldo. Scam na, guys. Scam. Joke. Okay. So actually, engineer is also a high-paying job, but it depends on your, again, knowledge, skills, and attitude. No? Depende na gyapon na sa imong knowledge, skills, and attitude. Na iban maingon kung wise ka nga engineer, kwartahan ka. Kung honest and goodness ka nga engineer, di ka kwartahan. So I don't know. Maybe some could say that, but for me, the three things, knowledge, skills, and attitude, if you have that, then you can be a successful engineer in the future. All right, balik ta. Mag-eskwela daw tungod kay ngano mag-engineering man gyud, no? Pwede raman ka mahimong engineer bisag dili ka kuan di ay eskwela, no? Sa una lagi be, no? Mga romance man lagi, engineer man lagi sila bisag wa sila nag eskwela, no? Sa una man to, sir, di man to required sa una, sir, og kanang board exam. No? So, because of job satisfaction, variety of career opportunities, variety, no? Pwede man ka nga ibi ka, pero kano man day magbuot ka, no? Mahimo day kung municipal engineer, ayaw pagbuot. O engineer ko magtudlo ko, ayaw pagbuot kay magtudlo man ko, I'm still practicing my profession. I'm still an engineer by profession, but I do that in a teaching way, no? I'm teaching other people to become an engineer someday. Ay pagbuot, engineer man ka unya siguro magagatubang sa mga farmers kay magsige kag train sa ilang mga machines. Ay pagbuot, because the work of an engineer is varied, no? Diverse in nature, no? Ang imong trabaho kay naka sa planta, ikaw ang tigpanit dito asa ko, tig-check nimo ang temperature dito sa mga ipang package dito nga saging. Ay pagbuot, it's my job, no? I learned a lot from this. It's my profession, and then it's my passion to practice my profession in the plant or in the production industry. Ay pagbuot, no? It's varied, depende sa imong goal, sa imong kinabuhi. But engineering is a very challenging engineer. When you become an engineer, it's very challenging, no? Even now, no? Karon nga estudyante pa mo, always think of that whatever the trials or whatever the challenges, whatever the requirements that your teachers or professors give you, always consider that it's just a challenge, no? So my students really learn a lot from me because I'm not just giving kanang lectures nga kanang more on like this nga scientific. I'm also sharing na labi na sa akong my experiences. Kanang mga assignment ninyo, it's just part of the challenges or part of the training. Always think of that. It's part of the training, and then later on when you graduate in college, you will just realize, okay, uh, I spoke fun with Sir Philip kay na-realize din ako no nga na-learn din ako nga kung wala pod miging ato ni Sir Philip or ni Sir Engineer A, Engineer B, siguro di pod miging ani katatag karon when we are now in the reality. We are now in our career. No, it's just a challenge because challenging in ang engineering, guys, no? Problems will be open-ended. Dili pwede nga ang problem di nimo i-solve tungod kay wa ka kabalo, pangita gyud paagi nga ma-solve na because you are an engineer by profession. No single answer, no? Sir, tama man ko, sir, gingani lang nako. Oh, tama man ka, gingana lang nimo. No? So, na-from you lagi ngani nimo atake pareho mo final answer. So that's the engineering challenging part of the engineering. Pwede nga ngani yang design pero effective or efficient. Pwede ngani yang design effective and efficient ay pagbuot kilalahi mo mind. Unless if it's really required to do the same thing, no? No answer in the back of the book, no? Kana bang asa man ka nanguha ni Sir Philip yung problem sa iyang exam niya, wa mi kabalo, wa man gitudlo because it's part of the training. How will you attack the problems as an engineer? Ayaw gid pag run sa Facebook nga way klaro among instructor, way klaro lahi ang gitudlo, lahi ang nigawas. Oops, you are studying engineering and you're not studying social work. So, sa engineering, if there's a problem, you solve in your pace, at your own pace. Ayaw pag run because it's part of the challenging job of an engineer. When you are in the work on the future, when you are working in the future, di mo na pwede nga mayon imong boss nga buhatan ni nga project niya ang gusto nako, sige sundan ni akong plano, di mo na pwede. Okay, engineer ko, do this and then give me the output next week or next month. Sao na nimo if you have no three things, knowledge, skills, and attitude, yabo. Okay, you find a solution based on your based on your in a persuasive aspect nga ma-persuade nimo ang others or you yourself nga this is the best, I can do this, I can make this, no? I will graduate on time, I can do I will have the ABE diploma at the end of the 4 years of my stay in CSU, and then I will graduate cum laude, magna cum laude, I will be the top notcher in the board exam. Who knows? It's your dedication. So it's really kuana. And then we've studied engineering because we want to develop something that will help. Mao to yung mga interview sa una, no? I hope ngayon pa tong ma-recall nga mag-engineering gid ko, sir, kay gusto nako tabangan ang farmers nga among mga silingan, sir, nga nag-struggle sa ilang mga farming style, sir, nga ingani because you have something in your intellectual mind, you have something you think something that you will develop in the near future that somehow you can help. Okay? And then when can we say that we are really an effective engineer or scientist? We can only say that if our minds, our profession, and our passion benefits the society. Ayaw gyud paghambog nga engineer ka kung ang imo ra bang trabaho gyud kay magsigirag pasipsip sa boss. Ang imong trabaho di ay kay magsigira kag kanang dawat sa sweldo niya, magsigira kag uban-uban sa sakyanan sa imong boss. Do not tell me nga you are a successful engineer. You are only a successful engineer if, for example, me as an instructor, I'm teaching. No, I produce a lot of engineers as well. So I benefited. The society benefited from me. No, a lot of students learned from me. A lot of students became an engineer. No, a lot of students na ako dagko pag sweldo sa ako karon. But that it's part of my job. And then the society, the students, my clients benefits a lot from me. Then I can say I'm an effective engineer. Okay, so you are studying engineering not because to brag that you have engineer in your name before your engineer, before your name na engineer Kyle Pitao, engineer Pacquiao. No, that's not the real story behind. We can only say, we can only be proud that we are engineer if the society benefits from our mind or from our practice of our profession. And then financial security, syempre, kinsa may ganahan nga mangandoy nga manrabaho nga walay sweldo. So, mas dakog sweldo, mas ganahan ta. No? So, engineering is one of the highest paying jobs in the world. Wherever you go, if you are an engineer, you are paid equally or comparably. Okay? Prestige, no? Hambog pangambog ginani mo ka tarpaulin dayon pagpasar sa board exam labi nag kanang take one ra dako kayong engineer nga acronym ay kanang kuan niya ang pangalan gamay kay engineer is a prestige. Engineers can greatly help someone or somebody in the community, no? And then people know pag mingon engineer, ay engineer man din ang anak ni ko ano. So ano, scam lang di ay sweldo joke. Okay, so that's prestige, no? It's part of the nature or tradition of the engineering. Kung engineer ka, you are already bearing the scientific or technical ideas you have. Ang series anime engineer bitaw ka sa nagdala ko libro, nagdala ko sa mga problem sets sa una wala, no. So it's actually a prestige, no. When you are an engineer, when you graduated engineering degree, you can say that you are equally, you are technically and you are professionally and then professionally sound and bearing the three ideas or the three terms, the knowledge, skills, and attitude. All right. So and professional environment, mas daghan kag kuan, yan. Mansin naman siya kay engineer man dili engineer di man niya pansin nun kung paano maligya ra ka ng quick ops, kumpiyansa ka mas dagong income man maligya quick kaysa sa engineer. Okay, so joke lang to pero somehow it's a reality. It depends on the three terms how will you handle that. All right, then creative thinking, ang mga engineers challenging yun kay grabe gid ang mindset. And then you need to bear that, no? Hindi ka engineer ka unya ang imong tinubagan sa pangutana kay mura kag tambay. Pangutanon ka unsaon gani pag unsa gani unsay maayo ani engineer kung ang atong kuan problem ngani ambot nimo ikaw ra may nakabalo, so you are not bearing the three terms that I have mentioned to you, no? You have no attitude, you have no knowledge and skills, so you have no right to use the engineer before your name. All right, and then discovery, so development, daghan kay mga engineers, no, ang engage in research and teaching because in research you will be paid bisan pag bago pa ka ni graduate, bago pa ka ni pasar sa board exam, you will be paid at more than 30, 40, 50,000, 60,000 pesos per month bisag naka sa Pilipinas pag naka sa research because engineers are really technologists and scientists as well, no. So please be kanang encouraged, no, please be motivated when it comes to that, no. So we are studying engineering because we want to we want that's the community or the stakeholders will benefit from us. And then engineering is everywhere. Magsakay ka, engineering kay na mechanical, no. Munaog ka na engineering kay magstana pud kag mga motion, no. Nya mubayad ka unsa pa ba ka diha, engineering is everywhere. Wherever you go, engineering is present. All right? And then we design, we create, we modify, and then we do everything, no. Kung sa ABE feeds the world, no. ABE feeds the world. So hambugiro na kayo, no. So tanan naa, no. So that's why we can be proud and then we can be boastful if we are an engineer because we know what's the processes behind, what's applicability of this, what's the theory behind, and how to apply and how to handle this because we have the basic theories. All right. So I hope that you have learned a lot from me for this topic. So this is actually the longest topic ever. No, see, this is the lecture 1 or topic 2 is just the longest. So ang mga mo follow gagmay na lang because we need to learn the basic principles and history of engineering. All right? Naminaw pa ba? That's all.
Yes, sir.
Yes,
That's
sir.
all for
Yes, sir.
Sir.
Thank you.
the
Yes.
yeah, that's all for the first lesson. And you read, I will post that in LMS, and then you read, and then you familiarize so that you will be guided with the theories and then history of engineering. All right. So next week our topic will be all about our topic next week will be all about the history na pod sa mga engineering sa CSU, no? Unsay mga activity, unsay mga accomplishment, achievements ang CSU para mas guided pa mo, no? That time somehow you will be guided nga maningkamot pod because ang CSU ing ani na ang standard, no? I will tell you, I will inform you, I will share to you what are the standards and what are the history of engineering in CSU so that you will be guided. So that will be our next topic next week. All right. So I hope that you have learned. Did you learn? Mosende? Did you learn?
Sir.
All right.
Yes, sir.
So ang uban siguro natulog. So that's all. Do you have questions?
None so far, sir.
None so
None so
far.
far, sir.
None so far.
So yeah. So my students somehow would say that Sir Philip is not just teaching. Sir Philip will really share everything because that's my goal. No, when I pass the board, I dream of working in a highly paid job. No, I experience being highly paid, but my passion really pushed me to teaching. No, kanang gipangita gyud sa akong kalag ang pagtudlo. No, and then murag di ko ma-enjoy bisag ang akong sweldo moabot og 50,000 di ko ma-enjoy because my passion is I guess in teaching, no, when the opportunity knocks, no, somebody called me for the opportunity, without any doubt, I accepted the opportunity because I really want to teach, and I hope that you will see it with me or from me that my passion is teaching. So kamo pag magklase ta serious gyud dili ingon nga magklase lang kay magklase because we are into professional nga aspect. Okay, question. That's all, guys, for this topic.
So far,
And then
sir.
see you next week for our other topic for the regular meeting. So sorry to have a longer class because this is the longest lecture. Imagine this is 59 lectures, while others are just less than 20 or less than 30 slides. All right, that's all, guys. Ting panihapon na. So see you next week. If you have other questions, you can just chat in the group chat, and then I will respond there correspondingly. Thank you so much, guys. Bye-bye, and see you next week.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you,
Thank you,
sir.
sir.
Thank you,
Thank
thank
you,
you.
sir.
Sir,
Thank
God
you, sir.
bless.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Sir.
Sir, I love you, sir.
Uy!
Hi, all.
Goodbye.
Thank you, sir. God bless.
Nye. Nye. Hi, guys. Hi.
Hi, classmates.
Hi.